I did anything in the art industry whatsoever, and now at this point, currently existing, there are like 14 window murals just in Redline that I facilitated. And it's like, I remember reaching out to Andreas?
Yeah, Andreas Polinick.
Yeah, that was the first artist I think I ever talked to about all of this. And now I'm helping organizations facilitate public art. And I had it's crazy to see where this is my 10th year downtown. This fall will be 10th anniversary.
I get chills, I get into stuff, and this is really crazy. So you're telling me that the arts, and this is not an ego thing, this is something that I just 2 weeks ago, it's so crazy you brought this up, because I was talking with my girlfriend and we were down in West Virginia in this southern town called Sutton. And it's similar to what that area of York was back then when we did the mural program. Mm-hmm. Now there's more retail, not a ton, there's still empty spaces and stuff like that, but I appreciate you saying it's going on in Redline. But, so that program was called Arts and Hops. And I was walking around in New York City and I saw how all of the billboards, they were doing it in New York City. Mm-hmm. And it was it was Gap and this and that, so they were buying all these real estate windows. Mm-hmm. Did you ever hear how it happened when we did the mural? So no. Andreas, when we started it, the city was like, no, you can't just go throwing billboards everywhere for alcohol. This is, whatever, we want to do. And we sat down and we were like, I don't know if there were beers involved or not. And we go, well, their problem is that they own the exterior of the building. They don't own the interior of the building. Mm-hmm. So we decided to do all the murals within the window backwards.
I love that. That's great. I've done almost all of my art projects for free up until this past year, and I myself have now become a contracting artist. So my friend Delia and I have gotten paid to do things. And this past spring, YCA paid me to facilitate New York High kids. My whole focus has been spotlighting buildings that could use revitalization, empty buildings. And that's always been, from that day one, was why don't we put it on the space that someone could invest in? Yeah. And finally, we got to do it. So the old Hardware Bar, which this is from Hardware Bar.
Okay.
We pulled this out of Hardware Bar. We pulled this out of Cobblestones.
Oh.
So where else do we do? There was an ice cream shop on Beaver Street, and then we did another space over there. But the whole goal is this space has sat empty for years and years. Maybe it'll get more eyes on it. And with the Redline ones, I know they used to do, Maple Donuts did Halloween ones.
Right.
We take them down after Halloween. The ones we did in Redline are Red Lion, Pride, centric. Yeah. So they've stayed up for an entire year, and the business owners, because we did it, Redline doesn't have many vacant buildings, so we did it with businesses. All of them have said, no, we want to keep it up. We like it. We want it here. Fat Cat, which is a great cafe. It has a cat with a coffee mug. The students paint it. That's been up for over a year because she likes it. It makes her window look good. So we've done so much. My portfolio, I just had to update it because I'm trying to work with Sandy Walker, the incoming mayor, to get more projects like that where I could facilitate. I have a portfolio that's 16 slides of projects that have multiple facets, and it all started with reaching out to, is it Andreas? Andreas, yeah. And just trying to get information. I didn't even know what questions to ask at that time because I knew nothing. I came into downtown with zero connections. I'm from Airville. I graduated from Redline. When I came to downtown York, I was nobody. I was still not anybody in particular. But I worked at Mudhook as a server. That was my first job, and now to see I'm opening my own place 10 years later to basically a T, 10 years, is wild.
Talk to me a little bit about, because this isn't just a strange conversation. You and I have talked before, you've had these ideas before. Talk to me about this idea and how you just mentioned to me outside, how this is an evolution of something you've been holding on to this exact concept, just finding the right location for it.
Yeah, really, I've been in the service industry since I was 12, before I was legally allowed to. I've grown up in it. I've done it my whole life, and I've always had it as a second job. I've always gravitated back towards it. And one of my roles as executive director at Resource York, which was through COVID, which was a learning experience in its own for all of us, but knowing that we throw away so many things, we waste so many things. I've sat at the Solid Waste Authority and watched what people dump into that dump. And I said, there's so many things that people are just trying to get rid of out of their garage. There are things that people want to give away. Glassware. You see wives whose husbands have a growler collection, make them get rid of that growler collection. I've seen it firsthand myself. Same thing goes for pints and all that. So I know what people are trying to get rid of, and I know that people in York specifically want to support. So I said, I always, the bulleted point of what I wanted to express through thrifting and sourcing locally is I want every single bar stool to be different. Every single bar stool here is pretty much different from the last, donated from probably 30 different people. That one comes from Franklin Street Social in Red Lion. One has come from my own house, but everything, all the glassware, I have probably close to 2,000 pieces of glassware, all donated. And the community had it and they were trying to get rid of it. And so this space is really a community bar. Someone can walk in and say, I gave him that. I gave him that piece of art. I told him he should put this on his menu. I suggested he have this snack. All of these things make it as much of a community stakeholder space, and I always wanted that, and I finally got to be able to do that, and I'm so happy that we're right there.
Now walk through, start me out with like when you went from Airville to downtown New York 10 years ago. When you went there, was the alcohol industry and hospitality the goal? And did you see this 10 years ago when you came to York? Like, put me in your shoes 10 years ago when you first set foot in York. All the emotions and everything like that. What was the objective?
I didn't know. I'd grown up hating downtown New York because you would get shot or mugged. That's what they taught us in Airville. I ended up moving to Pittsburgh for about 3 years to work out there, and left to come back home, be closer with my family. My first niece was going to be born, so I wanted to come back. I had no clue what I wanted to do. I went back to school a little bit, thought I'd pick up some hours at a restaurant, put my application into 15 different places in the same day. Mudhook Brewing Company called me that same day. They happened to have a no-call, no-show. I started at Mudhook that same night, and the rest was history for almost a decade. I had no clue what I wanted to do. Working at Mudhook kind of evolved into, I want to own my own drinking establishment. I've always worked in restaurants, never worked in a bar. And Act 39 had passed that same fall that I had started. So I got to experience this major change in the industry of being able to not just be a community bar, but to support local, state-made spirits, ciders, all of these things that we couldn't do before. And it became so much more of I get to go to my neighbor's distillery and carry their product, and I know the money's staying here in the state or staying here in the county or city. So it opened up a lot of new opportunities that just evolved, and my leadership opportunities evolved to the point where I was like, I really need to own my own place. Yeah.
Take me through the name.
So I've always thought of a lot of names over the years, and I honestly don't know where it necessarily came from. My last name is not pronounced like the former governor, Tom Wolfe, with that L pronounced in there, which is just, we have Emenheisers, Emmenheisers, Smiths, Smythes. We're Woofs. So when I say exactly how to pronounce my last name, which I won't correct people, but it's pronounced like what the dog says. I'm not going to be some narcissist that names my bar after my last name. So I said, why don't I call it that? I'll open this whole bar concept just to be able to explain my last name better. And people love animals. We see Holy Hound. Holy Hound's one of my favorite places to go. And Woof Bar kind of just ties to me. The Pennsylvania Dutch aspect of things is also tied in, everything I grew up with. And I want to be as dog friendly as I can with our current rules in the state, but we want to be accommodating to those folks. We'll have outside seating. We'll have dog menu items. So I have a Bush's dog brew right there on the shelf. We'll have dog teenies, wolf teenies, whatever we want to call them, some snacks and stuff, so they can be taken care of too. And to show that we want to accommodate for those pet parents.
My aunt married into Wolfe with an E, so I do know their last name and their struggles they have with the
and some I have also met WOLFEs that pronounce their last name Wolfe. It's just a whole. We all have our own heritage, so it's to each their own. But it's just my family's always pronounced their last name Wolfe. So, and it's fun to say when something's crazy. You just go Wolfe. Buzz's girlfriend, whatever you want to say. It's fun. I have a sticker that just says Woof. I hope to have a shirt that just says Woof. There's a lot of fun things to play around with that word.
That's awesome. So you're not open yet. So what do people have to look forward to? I know I'm not going to hold you to a date or a timeline. We all know how that stuff works. What sort of an environment when people walk in? What can they kind of expect as far as your lineups and food and everything like that?
So the number one mission of this whole space is hospitality and accommodation. For me, as someone who's had a lot of social anxiety, but also is really great at bartending because that's how I can connect with people, it's about walking into an environment where you know exactly what you need to do. There's a sign that says order here, cannot be missed. We're gonna have our menus in multiple different formats, whether you like QR code, whether you want a physical menu in front of you right away, or multiple different boards, TVs to list that. But we're gonna carry all Pennsylvania made as our license allows us. For me, the biggest thing is I was able to learn through a brewery collaborative that I coordinated, the York City Six, years back. All of those folks, the York City Six people, have taught me and still mentored me to get to this point. So I'm going to be spotlighting my friends and colleagues who have helped me since day one. So out of my 10 taps, I plan on having 9 of them from local York County breweries, brewed myself, and 1 Lancaster County beer because I want to support the little guys over in Lancaster. I feel bad for them, you know? That's a joke, but I want to be able to spotlight local businesses as much as possible. And same goes for, we're going to be working with Mark and Val Wines, which is literally blocks down the street. And any great distilleries that want to be part of what we're doing, because at the end of the day, I want as many of these dollars going back to my neighbors, my friends, my family, and the patrons who have supported me since 10 years ago when I came downtown and have been some of my Kickstarter donors 10 years later.
There's so many things that I like about your story that you're telling me is that it's the resilience of the concepts. And like, you're not just a fly-by-night like thing, you like dig into the ideas. So we were talking prior to the camera on the mural program and things like that. Then we're talking about this. Then we're talking about, I remember when I was living in New York and you did the York Six. Right, that's what it was called, right?
York City Six, yeah.
York City Six.
Wasn't my choice of name because what if we got a 7th? I even said that, but at that time, I was just a lowly server trying to herd cats. But at the same time, I was the one who wrote the press releases, did the Facebook page, got all that to happen. But now I get to have stake in the game. We're going to have a big brewery collaborative. We perhaps might have a county-wide collaborative because Lancaster, with their Brewers Guild, does a phenomenal job. I love a physical passport. I've talked to their people over there, and they're open to teaching me what they do, so you don't reinvent the wheel. But we can have that and more. I need to have a bar open first, and I finally have stake in the game to be able to say I'm a part of this just as you, and I have volunteer hours, and I love seeing these things come to fruition. So there definitely will be a big brewery.
How many years ago was that? 5 or 6?
Probably more like 7.
Okay, so 7 years ago you did that. You weren't even, and I remember all of it. You were on top of the press releases. Like I went to school for PR, so like watching you roll that out, I was like textbook. Like you're just doing it to the T. You weren't even a brewer.
I didn't have any background in those things either. Someone from Downtown Inc., Andrew Staub, I believe, was at Downtown Inc. at the time. He was their communications person. He sat down with me and taught me, these are all the things you should do, and I still use every single one of the tools he taught me today for everything.
And now, full circle, 7 years later, now you have your own place. You're no longer a server at another place or whatever, and you're going to be doing your own collaborations now.
Yeah, very excited.
That's just. Do you spend time? Have you sat in here for a little bit and like by yourself and like thought about stuff like that? I think don't do it enough in my life, and
I feel like because we see ourselves and think of everything that we still need to do every single day, it's hard to put into perspective. I know that so many people have congratulated me, and I said the second I can charge you for a beer being poured out of there, that's when I'll truly feel that congratulations. And I know that my ribbon cutting, which might be one of the biggest ribbon cuttings anyone's ever seen in York, because so many people have brought me to this point. Without the York community, I would not be here whatsoever. I don't know a thing. Everyone else taught me what they knew, and that's why I'm here. That's when I think it's going to hit me, and I hope I don't sob on camera. Very well may, but it's, I can't wait to be able to look back and kind of just see everyone along the way who will show up to that ribbon cutting that maybe I haven't seen in years, but was an integral piece of why I'm here. I mean, 6 months ago when I signed my lease for this space, I asked a guy who I was interested in learning how to make neon signs, because it's a dying art. Guy from New York said, hey, guess what? It's too expensive to get into that industry, but would you make me a sign for Woof Bar? And he said, sure thing, gave me a great discount. I've had that for 6 months. I haven't gotten to see him, and when he comes here to see it, and I'm just like, that's my pride and joy. That sign is beautiful. No one makes neon signs anymore. They make LED signs, but like all these tiny little details mean so much to me. The guy who made these light fixtures for free, the people the Turkey Hill mural I just did, where I took those off of the Turkey Hill because they were falling apart. Every single little thing has a story and a person attached to it that it's probably going to overwhelm me very quickly all at the same time, because everyone will be here at the same time, and it's going to be terrifying.
What do you, last piece for you would be, I know you haven't opened yet, so there's a million things that are going to go wrong, and that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the execution, the action you've taken to get to this point. Now the rest is out of your control at this point. You're just waiting on the approvals and the inspections. You've done everything to your capacity of your control. What is your, and not anything cheesy, like what advice do you give to other people who in York or anywhere that have an idea, they are a server, they're in a place, or whatever they are in life, but they're not in a place of this yet, and they're having trouble seeing that tangibly to get there?
I think there's a couple things, and I think it's longer time frame. It took me 10 years to cash in my social equity of I've been volunteering and going so hard at as many things as possible for the last 10 years with thinking that I haven't really asked for anything. This was my way of saying, hey, can this community help me out now? And they showed up. They raised me $20,000 in a Kickstarter. Over 100 people participated in there. All of this could have cost me tens of thousands of dollars to put together, and it didn't, because of the time and effort I put into this community. And that second piece of that goes hand in hand is knowing you can't do it by yourself. I'm the only staff member of Woof Bar. I'm the chief marketing officer. I'm every single piece of it. But I know that there is someone who's wanted to help me with each one of those pieces, and I had to have latched onto that, because I wouldn't be here if it weren't for one of my best friends, Delia, who helped me write my very first business plan, because my brain doesn't work like that. My friend Sarah, who designed the entire logo for free because she wanted to do this. A CPA who did my entire pro forma because he likes doing pro formas for restaurants. Like all these people who have their very special skills, who you've helped in the past, come back and are willing to help you. And it's been beautiful, because this could have cost me, on average, a brewery to open it cost over $100,000. This probably cost me around 40. And to be able to start a business with zero debt and being able to do a lot of creative things, like I'm gonna be partnering with every nonprofit possible to name beers, host events, give back, even in a bigger way than I ever have been able to do before, not as a business owner, but it's because I see that circle of putting it in and getting it back out. And it's really why I'm able to open and why I'm this close right now.
Corey, it's incredible. Like honestly incredible what you did. I wasn't expecting when I reached out to Woof Bar, I didn't even have the connection to knowing it was you, and I'm so excited when I saw your name and reply back to that email. Because I remember years ago when we had talked, and years before that, before COVID, and I knew this was the goal, and like to see that you went all the way to the finish line.
Yeah, right at that ribbon, and I guess the ribbon for the finish line will be the ribbon cutting.
But take this tonight. At least do one thing tonight for 5 minutes, and know 99% of the work is done. The rest is going to flow, because the rest is second nature to you. The rest is what you've been doing the rest of your life.
Yeah.
The first part was new. And you got past that part. The rest you know. You do it, and the rest of it in your sleep.
Yeah, I can't. That's my favorite part. I cannot wait to serve some beers for some people.